Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/ProRevenge. In today's episode, change me from hourly to salary to cut my pay. Okay. XL, shut up and let you sell? Well, okay then. Sell as many great by-product replacement policies as possible? Alrighty then. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Change me from hourly to salary to cut my pay. Okay. This takes place in the before times when people could eat out and gather in large numbers. I used to work as a chef for an owner who liked to micromanage things and was a bit narcissistic. I'd been working there about 3 years, getting good reviews, customers loved me, updated the menu. Made everything from scratch. People used to think the place was open box/heat, serve food. Quality had gone up, morale was great in my kitchen. Annual sales went from $850,000 to $1.4 million, about maximum capacity for the space. The increase in sales and income went to the owner's head. He was always spending money on frivolous things and squandering cash. Sound system, stage for the event space, ECT. One example, I needed a new alto sham, a used one would have sufficed. Nope, he bought the top of the line one that could be used as a smoker to $12,000 versus what I wanted could be gotten used for $1,500. Granted, I enjoyed that piece of equipment, which after I left they no longer used the smoker function. Years later, I still occasionally get invoices from a vendor, and see they bring in pre-cooked smoked meats now. I was hourly, but then the owner realized during the busy season I and my sous chef put in 70 to 80-hour weeks. Doing this, he realized I made more take-home pay from his business than he did. At peak times he'd maybe work 40 to 50 hours a week. So to save money, he puts me and my sous on salary, effectively cutting my pay by about $10,000 a year. My sous netted a loss of $2,000 per year, if we were to work at our current level of effort. During all of this, the owner is saying he is not expecting us to work over 40 hours a week, ever. He even has this written into our contracts. So with the extra time off at home with family, it is okay. I still like the job and my staff. During the slower time, this was great. Also during this time I had won a local award for my cooking, and the narcissistic owner was not too pleased. He was no longer recognized as the creative force in the kitchen that bears his name, so his meddling and micromanaging increased. It had gone from "it's your kitchen, cop chef, do what you want" to "it's my name, and my kitchen, do it this way." Morale and quality began to suffer. Just prior to the holiday season, my sous wants to go back to his home country for 2.5 months, November, December and January, peak crazy time for us. I have good help and am good with it. Owner approved the time off. Owner thinking I am gonna save him some that holiday season by working my usual 70 to 80 hours a week. Nope, cue the malicious compliance. I start writing the holiday schedule. Sue is on vacation. I have my 40 during key prep times and peak business times. The rest if my staff gets serious overtime. Basically, the Sue and I carried a lot of the weight in the kitchen, and could outperform most of our small staff. So with Sue on vacay, and I only pulling 40, full-time staff is now working 60-ish hours a week, and part-timers are getting 40. Things are running pretty smoothly until the owner realizes I'm not there like I always am during the holiday rush. He's in the kitchen more, trying to micromanage my staff, giving them poor advice, contradicting my directions, and timing for events, screwing up the small parties my staff could handle while I am off. After a few weeks of this, he realizes he's going to be paying the staff out more in overtime than he saved on moving me and my sous to salary. He starts demanding I work more hours to stop hemorrhaging OT to the kitchen staff. I show him my contract where I am not expected to work over 40 hours a week. Now, he says it's just a guideline. I hold him to the 40 a week. It's Christmas, and now I can for once spend time with my family. Now with my sous returning, I'm burned out from the constant micromanaging and gaslighting by the owner. I hand the reins to my sous and change careers after 25 years in the industry and never look back. XL, shut up and let you sell? Well, okay then. I work in a high-tech industry providing network security products to the Fortune 100. Think of Apple, Facebook, Salesforce, etc. My job is as a sales engineer, which is to work with the direct sales rep and make sure that the solution presented is correct, solves the problem, and fits the customer's business needs. The job of the sales rep is to manage the relationship and to guide the sale through the qualification to purchase process. It's not their job to be the engineer on the account, that's my job. The two of us go into the account together and work face to face with the customer teams. Often this begins at the C-level, like Chief Technology Officer, and then works its way down to the department team, security team, network team, IT team, procurement, legal, etc. I have been doing this job for a long time, and I'm good at it. I get glowing reviews from my customers because I work really hard to make sure I understand their issues, and to make sure that the technology fits their need. At a prior company, who shall remain nameless, I worked with a handful of really recognizable accounts that I won't name here. I had been at the company for over 4 years, and I was very successful at it. A new sales rep was brought in with the expectation that he would begin with smaller accounts in order to learn the products and get his feet wet with relatively low-risk customers. In the matter of a few months, he went through 2 of my peers who didn't want to work with him anymore. He was making sales, but they weren't happy with him and requested to be moved to a different rep. Normally I would not work on smaller accounts, since I was a senior person in my role, but my boss asked me to work with the guy and see if I couldn't find the problem. Normally the way a sales call worked is that the rep will call him Mr. Arrogant, would open the meeting, introduce people, propose an agenda for the meeting, provide marketing material if appropriate, and then introduce me so that I could ask the customer about their needs and goals, and then I'd begin to work with them through a technical presentation. That was the way it was supposed to work for all the reps. The really experienced guys could do most of a technical presentation, but anytime the client got down to the nitty-gritty details, they would always turn it over to the engineer. It's the entire reason that we went on the sales calls, to keep the rep out of trouble. It was never the job of the salesperson to do the technical portion of the sale. Never. So, Mr. Arrogant and I go off to our first sales call together. As we ride over in his car, we talk about the customer, the kind of business they're in, and possibly what products they might need. This is all pure speculation, we don't know the customer's problem yet, let alone their network or environment. I volunteer that I've worked with this customer in the past, and I am comfortable with their environment, but it might have changed. As we're riding in the car, he says to me, "Okay, Dvemail, I know all I need now. When we go in, let me do all the talking." He's been with the company for a month or 2. I tell him gently that this is a bad idea, and he should do his job, and I'll do mine. He's having absolutely none of that. Mr. Arrogant tells me in completely clear terms that this account is his account, not mine, and he will not let me in the room unless I let him sell. He knows more than I do, and I should sit back and learn from him. I tried gently, several times, to get him to let me do my job. Absolutely not. So, I text my manager while we're sitting in the customer lobby with the description of the situation. My manager texts back something to the effect of, "Mr. Arrogant believes he can do your job, let him try." So, cut to the meeting. Mr. Customer has the head of security, the head of network, and the head of IT all in the conference room. Mr. Arrogant begins his marketing pitch. He doesn't ask any questions. He pivots over into his product pitch, telling them that they need really expensive product 1 and really expensive product 2. Oh, and they need a 3-year support plan, and a bunch of custom coding to make it all work. The room is completely silent when he finishes. After a long moment, the chief technical officer turns to me and says something like, "So, Dvemail, you agree with this?" Mr. Arrogant leaps in and says of course he does. I stare at the CTO silently. The CTO says, "I'd like to hear what Dvemail has to say. If you like, Mr. Arrogant, you can wait outside." Mr. Arrogant shuts up. I say, "Actually, Mr. CTO, I have no idea if your environment has changed, what your technology looks like now or anything. But I guarantee you that you absolutely do not need product 1 and 2. You might need product 3 or 4, but I need to learn a lot more about your current situation." Mr. CTO turns to Mr. Arrogant. "Yeah. Why don't you wait in the lobby? I don't think you're the right person to handle our account. I'll reach out to your management team this afternoon and see if someone else might be available." Mr. Arrogant sputters and then leaves in a huff. Needless to say, I needed a lift back to the office when the meeting ended. But no one ever had to work with Mr. Arrogant ever again as far as I know. His desk was empty the very next week. Sell as many great by-product replacement policies as possible? Alrighty then. This was about 10 years ago when I worked at Great Buy. Every morning we were pressured into selling these ridiculous insurance plans that rarely paid off for the customers. We had high margins on these plans. However, we were not on commission, so there was very little incentive to actually sell these. Except management constantly pressured us to sell them. Every morning we had our morning meeting, and they would scold all the employees for not selling enough. You took trainings and they tried to brainwash you into thinking the plans were worthwhile and in the customer's best interests. Well, I luckily only needed this job to fill an employment gap while I was going to college. So I didn't care to sell these things unless I was asked by a customer if there was coverage for accidental damage or that sort of thing. Naturally, management was always on my case for not selling any plans. Sometimes they'd give me some space to discount certain products to sort of have the cost of the plans. Some customers liked this, so I'd always try to bundle it like that to avoid ripping off the customers who actually wanted the plans. We weren't supposed to sell the plans on fruit products if we were combining with a discount, since we got basically zero margin on those. Well, I stopped caring about those restrictions and started selling discounted fruit products with the insurance plans. After a couple of weeks of selling tons of these close to when I wanted to quit, folks loved getting discounted fruit products and starting telling friends. I got pulled into the office by management who looked incredibly frustrated. There were some discrepancies in the store's revenue because we had been losing profit on fruit products. They had traced it back to me giving discounts. They said to not bother with selling the plans anymore until I had retaken the trainings on the plans, and if I failed again they'd put me on a performance improvement plan. I shortly gave my 2 weeks notice. I hate retail. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.